Hello YouTube! Today I'll be showing you how to get the best bow in the game. And FYI, it's not the crystal bow. Although the crystal bow is good, it's still a tier 3. This new one is tier 4. And I'm telling you, it's not the Blightwood short bow or the Blightwood long bow. Those are tier 4, but the one I'm about to show you also has a special effect. And that bow is the Hunter's Stagbow. It gives you a minus 10% reduction in draw time, and it actually does a lot of damage, times 4.3 arrow damage. Tier 4 is currently the highest tier in the game, so that's why I'm saying it's the best, but also give you a pretty detailed comparison between the Hunter Stagbow and the current known supposed best bow, which is the crystal bow, at the end of the video. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So I'll just show you real quick the crafting materials that you need for this. Naturally, if you had a smithing anvil, you wouldn't be seeing what I'm seeing because I actually have the schematic already. I picked it up, or sorry, the plan. This isn't Palworld, but here it is. You're gonna need all of these materials: deer antlers, ram horn, swamp thread, some jade, and also some vault shards. However, before we actually go about securing those items, we have to get the actual plan first to actually be able to craft the item. So come with me. We're gonna go to the Storm-Touched Highlands. I have a TP set there. This is actually where I got it. I'm sure there's other locations. I've read that you can also get it from the Bloodblight Swamp and the Fractured Plains. It's only certain sections though, like I think the Southern Fortress for the swamp and northeastern side of Fractured Plains. But for me, I got it here. You're gonna find some Garo hunters, the ones with the bows. If they don't have bows, don't even bother with them. There's no way they're gonna drop it. But there's a random chance, I don't know the exact percentage, that once you kill these guys, they're gonna drop the plan. I'll put a screenshot of like what it would look like on screen right now. But you're just gonna have to kill Garo hunters until you get it. It might be a bit hard because it is a tier 4 area, but I promise you it's worth it. If you're trying to get the best bow in the game, you gotta put in some work. Because I want to make your guys' life so much easier, the next step is you don't have to go anywhere else. Stay where you are. Just find some rams. Because we're going to need 6 ram horns. Each ram drops 2, so just go kill 3 rams. Get 6 ram horns. That's one of the ingredients. Done. Just like that. We ain't leaving the highlands yet though, because we still gotta get 4 jade, which is another ingredient needed for the Hunter's Stagbow. Now you can get jade when you mine iron ore. There's always a chance, so when you reach level 16 in the mining skill, there becomes a chance that you get some rare resources when mining nodes. So for copper it's opal, but for iron it's jade. Now this is a numbers game, you have to get kinda lucky, but I don't think it'll take too long, especially if you use the rock explosion skill along with the bronze pickaxe. FYI, you can't mine iron nodes without having a bronze pickaxe or higher, so if you're trying to use a bone pickaxe, or worse, a stone pickaxe, it's not gonna work. And bam, we got 2 jade from 1 node. Just do that one more time and you'll have the 4 you need. I'm just going to put on screen now a map of the iron nodes within the Storm-Touched Highlands. And, you know, just go do your thing. With the schematic now in our hands, all we got to do is start collecting the ingredients. Because we got the jade and the ram horns already, life is a bit easier. But getting the deer antlers is really annoying and time consuming. And they don't come by like pretty easily. They just spawn naturally around the world. There's a few spawns around my base, so I've been like constantly hitting those in rounds just to get the 18 I need. But for you, wherever your base is, just look around the forests, look around the cliffs, just look around everywhere. You're bound to see a deer somewhere. I would suggest using a bow to catch the deer. Otherwise, if you get too close, they're just gonna run away. I don't know about staffs, but I don't know if they'd be that accurate because it takes time to like charge up a spell, right? Bow, you just point and click. But either way, you can use any bow. Usually you can one-shot them even with the lowest bow, depending on their tier and like what area you're in. Right now, I have the crystal bow, so I'm using that. Don't forget, I'm going to be doing a comparison between the crystal bow and the hunter stagbow at the end of the video, so remember to keep watching. Holy crap, that took some time. But after these last few deer, I'm going to have the 18 antlers. This was really time consuming, but it honestly, compared to getting the last ingredient on this list, this is nothing. Okay, now that we have ram horns, we have jade, we have antlers, let's go for what I think is the easiest one to get, vault shards. So you can go to any vault on the map and we need 4 of them. It's not the vault cores, it's the one you can find in the chest, just like this. I believe you can also get them by killing sentinels, but looting chests is so much easier than dealing with those beefy guys, and usually you can get all of them in one chest, right? We only need 4 after all. Personally, I went to the Dragonkin vault, but I think it is a bit harder than the one the wise old man takes you to in the Whispering Swamp. So I'd suggest just going to that one. You'd probably have some vault shards lying around anyways. If you guys want a detailed map, I'm pretty sure you can just look it up online. You can go to any of them, like as long as you get 4 vault shards. Now at last, the most difficult part of getting the hunter stagbow is getting the 4 swamp thread. To make the swamp thread, you're first gonna need a brewing cauldron. So you're gonna have to get the materials for that. I won't specifically cover those today, but here they are. Now, the brewing cauldron isn't necessarily required because all you need to make swamp thread is swamp weed. But in order to actually get the swamp weed, you have to go into the blood blight swamp. And that's naturally poisonous. Like that area, if you don't have a potion, an anti-poison potion, you're going to instantly die. Well, not instantly. In 10 seconds, you'll die because you take 10 damage every second. So to make this weak anti-poison potion, you need Horrorlander, Bittercat Mushroom, and clay wheels. To make the clay wheels, you're going to need the pottery wheel, which you can make or craft. Materials, here they are. But essentially, you have to place it inside, sadly. But we need that for the clay wheel. For the Horrorlander and Bittercat mushrooms, we can simply go to the Whispering Swamp, not the Blood Blight Swamp, and we can just pick it up off the ground. So let's head on over to the Whispering Swamp. I already have a TP there. What we're looking for is Horrorlander on the ground, and we're also going to grab some clay as well, because we need to turn them into clay vessels. So just use a rock explosion spell or something, grab a bunch of clay. We don't need too much. Maybe like 2 or 3 nodes would be more than enough. But yeah, go ahead and collect those. Then we're going to go scouting for Horrorlander and Bittercat mushrooms. So there's Horrorlander, and then there's also Marentil. The Horrorlander is the darker green version of the same plant, I guess. They both look around the same. They're green. One's dark green, one's light green. They both look like weeds. But the Bittercat mushrooms, you can find them on the ground. Those are pretty easy to spot. Just make sure you're looking down. If you find some swamp tar, I always collect it just in case I need it in the future. Bittercat mushrooms, once again, pretty easy to find. The hard part here is making sure you get Horrorlander instead of freaking Marentil. Like, there's so much more Marentil than there is Horrorlander. Make sure you go around until you get at least 6. I would suggest 6 because that will give you enough. So when I say 6, I mean 6 Horrorlander and 6 Bittercat mushrooms. So that should give you enough for 6 potions, anti-poison potions, because you don't want to, run out and just die, right? That means also just make sure try to get at least 6 clay as well, because 6 clay makes 1 clay vessel unfired. And then you gotta put it in the kiln, and you're gonna heat it up, and it'll become an actual clay vessel. Yeah, you'll see in a sec. So go to the pottery wheel, turn your clay into clay vessels unfired. Feel free to craft as many as you want. I think you only need 6 if you want 6 potions. And then once you're done that, we're not getting to the brewing cauldron yet. Go to the kiln, and instead of making charcoal, put in your clay vessels, and that's going to make an actual clay vessel that is fully heated up, I guess. Also, FYI here, you do need a kiln and a smithing anvil, which means you also need a furnace. I made a previous video, I'll link it in the description as well, about how I got all that stuff. It's a pretty good guide. But without the smithing anvil, which requires a kiln and a furnace to make, you wouldn't be able to craft the Hunter's Stagbow. Like, you can't do it on the regular crafting table. You have to have a smithing anvil. So make sure to watch that video. So with your clay vessels completed, collect them from the kiln. Now in the brewing cauldron, put in your Heartlander, put in your bitter cap mushrooms, put in your clay vessels, and make sure you have like some type of flammable substance as fuel. You can use wood, you can use charcoal, whatever you want, and you should be able to produce these weak anti-poison potions, which give you 300 seconds of anti-poison. And at last, with all of our preparatory steps completed, we can now go to the Blood Blight swamp so that we can finally get some swamp tar, which is the final ingredient we need for our Hunter's Stagbow, aka the best bow in the game. The reason this is the hardest step is because not only do you have to craft a potion to be able to even come to this area, in the swamp itself, which is where you'll find the swamp weed, there's so many other plants that you can mistake for swamp weed. And also, the item itself, swamp weed, is really, really rare. Like, it was really hard to find, and even though I went through so many parts of the swamp, I could barely get 4. I finally found one here. See, it's like all submerged, the color matches. It's so hard for it to stand out, so hard to see with your eye. Like, even after following the map of where they are, I'll put on screen right now, it still took me quite some time until I could get all 4. After 25 long minutes, I finally found the last one. Like, oh my god. Wait, I did, right? And it's growing right there. That's so weird. It's not even in the swamp. Why are most of them in the swamp, but then this last one is not? Oh. Anyways, I'm so glad to be done with that. Let's go turn this into swamp thread. This part's so much easier. Literally just put the swamp thread into the spinning wheel and just wait. And after, like, I don't know, a few minutes, you'll finally have your 4 swamp thread, which is the last ingredient that we need for our bow. Okay, y'all, I'm about to craft it. Hunter Stagbow. We got all those ingredients. And bam. There we go. Now it's time to do a little showcase and a comparison with the crystal bow. First, I'm just going to show you a little showcase of the bow by itself. I got really lucky here because I was trying to find some mobs. But then suddenly, I started being hunted. Which was good. So look at the damage. 48. 48. Close. This is like barely charged up. 60 with the critical. Nice. 49. Okay. I can kind of feel the 10% reduction in draw time. Like, I can actually feel the difference it makes, which is really helpful because on my previous bows, damn, 118 with the critical, with the headshot, and then 75. I will say though, this eats up a lot of stamina, so you can get only 4 shots out of it, which in a bit, compared to the crystal bow, is not that much, but the damage is definitely there. Now here's some crystal bow gameplay. The crystal bow is nice because even though it's a tier 3 weapon, it doesn't use that much stamina. So you can actually get 10 shots out of it. Each shot, though, doesn't do too much damage. Like close range, if you're spamming a shot, sure, 49. With the Hunter Stagbow, you can get that too. But when you're fully loading it up, this one only does 90. Compared to the Hunter Stagbow, a headshot does 167. Now, for a body shot, using the crystal bow, it does... I know I was aiming for the head. It didn't hit the head, though. So a body shot was 72. But with the Hunter Stagbow, a body shot is 134. Which that one's basically double. So yeah, once again, I know I mentioned this briefly earlier, but the Hunter Stagbow, you can get 4 shots out of it with your stamina bar. With the Crystal Bow though, you can get 10. But also keep in mind durability. The Stagbow has a 1300 durability, while the Crystal Bow is only around 1000. So although they're both decent bows, the Hunter Stagbow ultimately I believe is the best bow in the game, not only because of the tier difference, it's a tier 4, but also it does a lot more damage, especially if you're charging it up. Add in the fact that there's a 10% reduction to draw time, and there you go. Those are all the reasons you need, honestly. The Crystal Bow, I will say, if you are not fully drawing it out, could be better in some circumstances, but for a bow, if you're sniping from afar, you're fully charging it, Hunter Stagbow is the best bow. And that's all for today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Normally I post Power World, but RuneScape Dragonwilds just came out. Thought I'd give it a try. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like as well. Leave a comment for any future video ideas, and have a great week, guys.